Hello, let's learn how to factor by grouping. If we are given an example like this with 4 terms and we need to factor, what we can do is set these terms into 2 groups of 2 and then work separately until we manage to actually put them together into a factored form. So if we decide to group, we can, let's say, group this term with this term and then group this one with this one. That would work just fine. But just to make stuff simpler, easier, let's just group first 2 and then group second 2. Okay, and as we group them, we need to check what do these 2 terms in this group have in common. And then we'll check the same thing for the other group. So let's start with numbers first. 5 and 20, what they have in common. What's the greatest common factor? Well, it's 5, because 5 goes into 5 once and 5 goes into 20 4 times. So 5 is a factor of both of them. Okay, and now let's check the variables. We have x squared here and x here. When it comes to variables, they always have in common the variable with lowest degree. So in this case, this is the first degree, this is second degree. So they definitely share this x to the first, right? So 5x. Now that we figured out what's the greatest common factor, we open parentheses like that, and then we copy down what's still in those 2 terms. So if we had 5x squared and we took out 5x, we should have 1x still standing there. Or we can think of it this way. 5x times what will give us 5x squared. 5x times what will give us 5x squared. Well, that's x, right? Or you can break it down even further, like 5 times what will give you 5? Well, it's 1, right? And we don't have to put 1 there. And then x times what will give us x squared? Well, x times x is x squared. So you can figure it out that way too. And then we have a plus, this one right here. And then if we took x out, there is no more x right here, right? If we took it out, it's not there. And if we took 5 out, that means we still have 4 there. Again, we can check it this way. 5 times what will give us 20? 5 times 4 is 20. And then, or like this, 5x times what will give us 20x? Well, 5x times 4 will give us 20x, right? And then we copy this plus right here. And now we are analyzing this group, these 2 terms. And again, we need to check what do they have in common, find the greatest common factor. And let's do it the same way we did it in the first group. Let's analyze the numbers first. 8 and 32. They have 8 in common. 8 goes into 8 once and 8 goes into 32 4 times. And then since these 2, only this one has an x, this one doesn't even have a variable, then they don't share that. They don't have an x in common. So we can open 2 sets of parentheses already and then see what's still in these 2 terms after we factored the 8 out. Again, you can say, well, 8 times what will give you 8x? Well, it's x. 8 times x is 8x. Plus this one right here, right? And then 8 times what will give us 32? Well, 8 times 4 is 32. So now we have, what we did is actually we factored the first group. This one right here, it's factored because we have a times right here, so 5x. That's one factor, and then x plus 4 the other factor. And then we factor the second group, this one right here. Now, and how do we know it's factored? Well, we have a product here. We have times. We have one factor, which is 8 in this case, times the other factor, which is x plus 4. But we are not done factoring because we have this plus between these two big terms, right? So now we are down from 4 terms to actually 2 terms. This big one right here, and then this term right here. So to continue and finally get this factored, what we need to be able to see is that this big factor and this big factor, they actually have one piece that's completely the same, x plus 4, right? With 2 parentheses around it. Same thing here, x plus 4. So they actually share that part, right? They have the part is completely the same. So if they share it, that means that's the common factor for both of them. That's the greatest common factor we can find there. So if it's a factor, if it's a common factor, we can actually factor it out. So we take it out, the whole thing, x plus 4. And then we open parentheses, same as we did right here, or right there. Open parentheses like that. And then we say, well, if we took x plus 4 out of here, we took this part out, right? What's still there? It should be obvious that 5x is still there, right? And then we bring this plus down. And then we do the same thing here. If we took x plus 4 out of this big term, so we took this part right here out, what's still there? Well, 8 is still there, so we put 8 there. Okay, now we have one set of parentheses times another set of parentheses. So it's one factor times another factor. Same as we had here, one factor times another factor. But the problem with this line was that we had this plus or minus in between, right? In this case, it's a plus. But here we have one factor times another factor. So this is now completely factored. We have just two of them multiplying each other and nothing else in terms of like something being added or subtracted from it. So this is now completely factored. If it is, that's our answer, that was our goal, and we are done. I hope you liked the video. I hope you understood it too. If you like it, please click like, click subscribe, and don't forget to smile.